It is in Ukraine's fundamental interest, on the one hand, to receive the funds, the enormous sums, that it is continuously asking for and demanding from the European Union. On the other hand, they obviously believe that the current Hungarian government is the obstacle preventing their possible admission to the EU. From this point on, it is completely clear that they align themselves with the opposing side and try to support the TISA party by every means available. And I think that these interventions, these threats, these messages that they have begun sending to the Hungarian government and to Hungary over the past few days, perhaps starting about a week ago, all point to this. Quite simply, they want a pro-Ukraine government to come to power, preferably in April. Unfortunately, this is what it will be like until April, and we have to prepare for it. On the one hand, the same thing is happening in Ukraine, from the Ukrainian side as well, and on the other hand, we see exactly the same cornered situation within the domestic opposition. Accusations, lies, a lack of ideas, program theft, everything one can imagine is present at local level in the constituencies. So, when a crisis arises, they say, let's start drinking instead, because that's the state of the world and Europe, and the thought never occurs to them about the political responsibility they should bear. For example, that this situation could have arisen, or that the entire European Union leadership should step down, simply because they are implementing things against the interests of the citizens of the member states. I'm sure we'll talk about Mr. Merkel as well. There are many topics where one can see that the European leaders, the current leaders, have long been acting against the interests of the citizens of the European member states. Competitiveness is declining, economic indicators are worsening, and they take measures, for example, regarding migration, the acceleration of the Migration Pact, support for Ukraine, which are harmful to the member states and disadvantageous to their citizens. We calculated, for instance, the $800 billion demand from Ukraine. In our constituency alone, if we break it down, that amounts to 54 billion forints. That much would be required from the citizens of a constituency centered in Szentendre. We should also ask the citizens of other European countries, I think. But looking at the leadership there, we can see that they don't do this. Yet, we can also see how successful the policies they are pursuing actually are. I'm also sure that the reason this doesn't happen in other countries is precisely because they are afraid of the outcome. We should also ask the citizens of other European countries, I think. But looking at the leadership there, we can see that they don't do this. Yet, we can also see how successful the policies they are pursuing actually are. I'm also sure that the reason this doesn't happen in other countries is precisely because they are afraid of the outcome. And about the $800 billion. Just to put it in Hungarian terms, or from a Hungarian perspective, $800 billion is enough money to pay pensions for 40 years and Hungarian family support for 60 years, just to give some point of reference. But again, I think the most important thing is that if everyone breaks this down for their own region, their own local area, and looks at how much investment has happened so far, how much that cost, and how much this would take away. If we calculate it as taking 1.3 million forints from every Hungarian family, then everyone can exactly figure out what this would mean in a constituency of 80 to 90,000 people, and how much money that is. It's an enormous, staggering sum. So the developments that, for example, the TISA candidates are promising now, how would they even plan to finance them if this money goes to Ukraine? We have to see that if Hungary has to disconnect from Russian gas, household bills would immediately triple. Why is that a good thing? Who benefits from this? It's just more of that big capital multinational mindset and a kind of anti-Russian hatred that drives and dictates these decisions.